What is up everyone, Nick here, and in today's video we're going to be building our very own sample container prop from Helldivers 2, complete with lights and sounds.
Another sample collected for democracy.
Now I'm planning on eventually making my very own BO1 tactical armor from Helldivers 2, but before we even get to that, I need my samples. Heck, I'm maxed out on samples right now, and I still collect samples. You could just chuck me into a hell pod with no armor, no gear, no nothing. All I need is a sample container and a cup of liberty. Now, even though I'm maxed out, I could tell you guys that I'm picking them up to help my teammates out, but really, I'm just a kleptomaniac. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. See what I did there? I said dive, like the game. Helldivers 2.
Supplies.
So here we have a whole bunch of different 3D printed parts and PCBs that we're going to be using to build this project. And before I crack this open, I just want to thank this channel sponsor, PCBWay, for sponsoring this video. Now PCBWay, if you don't know it already, at this point I expect you guys to watch my videos and know this already, but if this is your first time watching, thank you. They are the industry leader when it comes to PCB fabrication and 3D printing services. From custom circuit boards to innovative 3D printed prototypes, PCBWay offers unparalleled quality, fast turnaround times, and competitive pricing. And if you want $10 off your very first order, you can use the affiliate link in the description. Now let's crack this open. Yeah, oh my, I'm gonna cut myself one of these days. Haven't done it on camera yet. Okay. We got foam, oh, never mind, that foam does not budge. A lot of small bags, they're all wrapped up, so I can't really see what's what. So I'm just gonna start chucking stuff down. Okay, so that's pretty much everything I ordered. Number one, we have these PCBs, which I'm really proud of, and you're gonna see how these work later on in the video. So instead of just putting like Plentiful Props 3D or some sort of logo on the PCB, I decided to do something slightly different and themed with this project. Each PCB is designed to look like a sample from the game. So here we have a common sample, and this PCB is going to house all the electronics we need for this project, but more on that later. And I also have a different kind of PCB somewhere here. There they are. So I couldn't order a pink PCB like the color in the game, so I went with purple since that's close enough. Here we have a super sample. So yeah, we got our common, we got our super sample. The only one I'm missing is a rare sample. So if at any point you want me to make the Gerber files for the rare sample, just let me know in the comments down below. What are you? Let me understand you. So these are resin prints that are black that are going to be used for like detail pieces on the sample container. Not exactly sure where they go, but we're gonna find that out later. Yeah, more detail pieces. No idea where these go, but they go somewhere. Oh, not on the floor though. They don't go on the floor. Oh no, this is, aha, nice. Okay, so this is an aluminum 3D print that was SLS printed. This is going to be the lid of the sample container. This is in solid metal. What else do we have here? Okay, so this piece goes right into here, I think. Oh no, the tolerances. Oh no, the tolerances are nearly perfect. Amazing. So this piece is going to hinge the lid on the sample container, and thankfully it fits nearly perfectly inside of the main piece, which is awesome. I was kind of worried about that, but no, the dimensional accuracies on this thing are practically perfect. Do we have more metal pieces? I don't remember. Oh yeah, we do. We have the arm as well. And here's one more metal piece I totally forgot about. This is like the hinge piece. So if I remember correctly, that goes in there, so that's gonna need to be sanded to fit, and then it goes something like that. So this is the whole hinging mechanism, which is going to go on the sample container. Honestly, all of this looks pretty cool as it is. I really like the gray. I really like the metallic color on this. I might not sand this. I might keep this raw. So let me just move all of this aside. We still have a few more bags to get through. Nice. So these are a bunch of triangle pieces. These are going to be the diffusers for the lights on the side of the sample container. And then we have this whole bag right here. And then we have this gigantic transparent piece. This is also going to light up on the finished part. Now we are missing a few parts, but the main part that we're missing right now is this main chassis that we're going to be using for the sample container. That would be because I 3D printed this in Polymaker's Cause PLA filament, and I 3D printed it on the FL Sun V400. The FL Sun V400 is a high-speed Delta 3D printer featuring built-in Clipper firmware and a spacious build volume of 300 by 410 millimeters, making it suitable for large prints like this. And it also boasts a maximum printing speed of 600 millimeters per second, which significantly reduces printing time without sacrificing quality. For instance, I was able to 3D print this sample container body overnight, meaning I started my print in the evening, and by the time I got up the next morning, it was done. And if that wasn't enough for you, the V400 comes equipped with auto bed leveling, and it also has a direct drive extruder, ensuring precise and reliable prints. It also supports various materials like PLA, PETG, and flexible materials like TPU, and it can also print ABS without a problem as long as you have the enclosure upgrade. Now, before we get going with the electronics and the assembly, I'd just like to point out I did end up reprinting this main component and some of the other components. So instead of sanding the sample container down and painting it black, I just decided to print it in a generic black PLA. And honestly, with the quality of the filament and of the V400, the layer lines are absolutely stunning on this. They're barely visible. So once I assemble the sample container, I'm not gonna have any sanded or painted parts. Everything's going to be raw prints. So I'm gonna toss that aside. We don't need you no more. And now that we have all of our black 3D printing components, we can start talking about assembly and how this thing is actually going to work. So these files were originally made by Big Fred's Customs. You can find those files on Etsy. I'll leave a link in the description down below. And I absolutely love the design. Not only is it completely game accurate, but there's a bunch of design elements that really lend themselves to really cool features we're going to be including in this project. Namely, this 3D print alone. This is the bottom half of the lid for the sample container. It has a cutout for a momentary button, and it also has a cutout for a kill switch, and it has two little holes here which line up with two little holes on the upper half of the sample container lid, which are for magnets. So I figured I might as well run with it and use all of these design elements to make something really cool. So TLDR, I want this thing to be as game accurate as possible. And the way I'm gonna do that is with an Arduino Nano and a DF Player Mini. Now, if you guys have seen some of my other project videos where I do electronics, you know exactly where this is going. Basically, with each button press on this sample container lid, it's going to play a randomized audio file that I created. There's a Helldivers 2 Discord that I joined that is completely dedicated to ripping game files, and I was able to get my hands on a bunch of audio files from the game. So in total, I have about 25 or 26 audio files, all related to picking up samples. I'm not going to bother explaining what those audio files are. You guys are just going to have to see later on in the video. And not only is each button press going to activate a sound file, it's also going to increase the gauges on the sides of the sample container. So you can see there are 10 little triangles. There's 3 in total on each side of the sample container. Each time the button is pressed, a NeoPixel will light up yellow, and this will increase all the way up to 10. And once the button is pressed again, it'll recycle to 0 and work its way back up to 10. And to save time, because I really don't want to have to solder 30 individual NeoPixels all up in a daisy chain, I decided to design some nice little PCBs, and these NeoPixels perfectly align with the triangles, and they fit perfectly inside of this retaining print, which goes on the inside of the sample container. So if I just put these together like so, all the NeoPixels are perfectly aligned, and if I take it and try and put it in here, there we go. It perfectly aligns with those triangles on the sides of the sample container. So I just took a task that would have probably taken me an hour to do by hand soldering all those NeoPixels and made it into a 2-minute operation. Also, I'd like to mention that all the Gerber files, all the code and everything is going to be available in the description down below if you want to make your own. And speaking of PCBs, I already showed them off earlier, but these sample PCBs are going to serve as breakout boards for all the electronics. So not only is it going to house the DF Player Mini and the Arduino Nano, it's also going to have a bunch of JST connectors to plug in the NeoPixels, the kill switch, the button, all of that jazz. So I'm gonna start soldering up the breakout board, and then we're slowly going to start the process of assembly. And now I have all the electronics sorted out, everything's been soldered and assembled, we have all the 3D printed components. So the first thing we're gonna do is make sure that all the electronics actually work before we start building this thing. So of course we have the 3 PCBs with the NeoPixels that are going to be for the side gauges of the sample container. They have these nice little JST connectors soldered to them so they're ready to plug into the board. And speaking of which, we have the main PCB board. It has the Arduino Nano and the DF Player Mini, as well as all the different JST connectors we need to make this thing work. Next up, we have a USB cable that goes to a JST connector. This is going to go to the power bank I'm gonna have stored inside of it. I also went ahead and added some Velcro on the back of the power bank. That way it doesn't rattle around inside the sample container. And I also have the speaker right here with the JST connector. Pretty much everything has a JST connector. Just like this other set of NeoPixels, which is going to be for the main flashing light. So you can see I just glued in a NeoPixel ring, soldered some wires to it, and this goes all the way down to the main PCB. And I also have the underside of the lid right here with the little clicky button. So as you can see, there's like a spring around it. And the reason that spring is there is because the aluminum cap that sits on top of it is just way too heavy and it presses on the button the whole time. So to mitigate that, I added that spring, which alleviates the pressure applied to the button. So that way it floats right over the button, and when you press the lid, it clicks on the button and springs right back up. And I also have the kill switch right here. So that way I can turn on and off the power so I don't waste battery. And that pretty much covers all the electronics. So I'm gonna move this aside and I'm gonna start plugging everything into the PCB and see if it works. So let's start with the kill switch, which goes to the switch connector on this. If I can find it, there it is. So everything's plugged in, and as you can see, the PCB is now off. Nothing's working right now. So if I flip the kill switch, the light on the Arduino Nano turns on and this flashes. So now if I press the button,
High value sample collected.
and we have the first of the 10 lights on each of the gauges that turns on. If I click it again, get another sound effect.
Super uranium.
Safe enough for babies. And if I just spam the button, it's gonna go all the way up and turn off.
Another sample collected for democracy.
Ugh. All right, so let me just turn this off and disassemble some of the electronics, and we're just slowly going to just glue everything together. So I think I'm gonna start by gluing the strips for the gauges to these 3D prints. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of glue. So again, that one goes like that. Now I'm gonna use the lid to help me align everything, because the bottom part of the lid needs to be aligned with the hinge, or else the hinge just isn't gonna work. Oh my. So I'm gonna add like a crap ton of super glue to the top. And I'm just gonna delicately add these wires down the hole. That looks about right. Oh my God. Oh, it's just the tolerances of that. Okay. Stupid. Okay, that holds together. Good, awesome. Where is the pin? There's the pin. This is going swimmingly. Why won't you go in your home? Are you too good for your home? Okay, that's a press fit now. That's not going anywhere. That's where you also live now. This is your domicile, your home, if you will. Just like that. Okay, I think I'm gonna start plugging things in before I put in the PCB. So I'm gonna put the teeny tiny piece of Velcro along the black seam of the sample. That way you don't actually see the Velcro. I don't expect the PCB to really go anywhere. This is just to help it stay on the bottom of the container. Okay, now we just need to glue in the last light and the speaker, and then close this up. Container, I hardly know her. And lastly, but not leastly, I need to glue in these tiny transparent pieces into place. This is gonna suck. And with all these transparent pieces finally glued into place, all we have left is to screw in the battery tray and see if it works. I don't think I ruined the electronics between testing them and installing them, but honestly, it's just my luck that none of this works and it just explodes. Super Earth's finest. Alrighty. Sample container's been enclosed. Now all we need to do is open up the lid, switch on the kill switch. This should turn on the speaker and the electronics. Yeah, baby. So this is going to turn on every second for half a second, and if I close it, it should press the button. It works. It works. I don't know how well you guys can hear that, but it's pretty good. Yeah, this thing's awesome. I did it. This is exactly what I was picturing in my mind's eye, and it works. This has no right being as cool as it actually is. I love this thing. Okay, I guess the only thing that's left now is to actually make the suit. Look at this. Look at that. Look at it. Just look at it. Look at it. I'm Mr. John Helldiver. Look at me. I got my samples. Look at this fashion. Absolute drip. Yeah. I'm just gonna be including a bunch of B-roll in this because I really want you guys to see this up close because this thing is just so freaking cool.
High value sample collected. Another sample collected for democracy.
I think that's going to be it for today's video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. And again, a huge thank you to FL Sun for providing me with the FL Sun V400 for this project, and to PCBWay for not only sponsoring this video, but for sponsoring the channel as well. And as per usual, I will see you in the next one. Go get some samples.